Welcome to the Holding Priority Podcast, the Magic the Gathering CDH podcast. I'm Cardboard Cryptid.
And I'm the Gaming Ghost.
On today's episode, we'll discuss our February CDH tournaments.
A lot of them happen. I felt like we were going somewhere every weekend.
I mean, yeah, and we will be for all of March too. So yeah,
I'm excited though, man. Like I'm seeing a lot of different decks coming out of the woodworks. A lot of some of the old favorites too.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's an interesting place where we're at right now.
Honestly. Yeah, there's been some stuff where I was like, "What's that, Commander?" Okay, like you're not going to win. So, and then there's been some times where I thought that, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, like I misjudged this. Like I'm kind of scared of this."
I think that the meta decks are good against meta decks, and then if you throw one of the wrenches, so to speak,
yeah,
those decks aren't really spec'd for, and they do a lot of crazy things.
If they can win in 80 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Before we get into the specifics of our tournaments, let's go into the shuffle up. We got a lot of new comments on the brackets and game changers episode. We almost didn't do a discussion on that just because we were like, that's not really going to be like too impactful for CDH. But you guys came out in force and really left a lot of comments on that one and showed your love. So thank you so much.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, when we were doing it, I started to notice that maybe it does hold a little bit more weight with us, even though we're just in the top part of that bracket.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for all the comments, guys.
Yeah, and I would say if you skipped over that and you were like, this doesn't affect us, like I would give it a listen. Like it's an hour and a half, so it's not a quick listen, but it definitely affects CDH more than I thought after like we got into it.
Yeah, it's easier to. I think it'll be easier to split, the CEDH people from like the high powered as well. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Let's get into those comments. First comment, food chain should be on the game changers list. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's from Alex Fabian. Metal, I thought it was Metal Barbie, but it's Metal Babble says the SpongeBob cards will make everything better. Those got spoiled today as of this recording. So
I haven't looked at them yet.
Oh, they're cool. There's it's all of the SpongeBob memes. So like it's SpongeBob doing like the rainbow and it's Jodo the Unifier as like 5 colors.
Oh, that's awesome.
The counter spell is like the classic like SpongeBob like with the silly face like mocking somebody.
Oh.
I thought we were going to get Patrick Star as Plagon, but we got a 7-cost vanilla creature that's black-red instead for some reason.
It's weird.
But Gary is Toxrill, so that made me happy.
That's awesome. Yeah. I want a Squidward card.
I don't remember what Squidward was, but there wasn't really too many things that I was just like, this is awesome. Like, I think that they, for the most part, kind of try to keep it into, like, the more fun side of Commander, so that, like, I don't think that they wanted to print, outside of, like, Counterspell, I don't really think that they wanted to print, like, a bunch of staples where people would be seeing SpongeBob all the time, but, like, if you want to make a SpongeBob deck and have fun with it, you can
do so.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
John Butler said, I love the podcast. I love the pod and the cast. Thank you for liking both. Keep it up. And then they had a really good comment, which I would just say that you guys should probably go and read the whole thing because it's very in depth. So thank you, John. But I will read. The game changers have one job to be the difference between 2, 3, and 4. It is just as important to put cards on the list to separate 2 from 3, expropriate, smothering tide, etc., as it is 3 from 4, crumb box, cradle, etc. The list will have 2 categories of power, and as they said on the stream, it can be sorted out in 2 general piles. Ones that separate 2 from 3 and one that separates 3 from 4. And then they say, like, everyone agrees that turbulent pairs and Vorinclex are kind of head scratchers. I think that podcast we probably could have brought somebody in that's more of like a casual player. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, just to see what they view on it.
Yeah, because honestly, like I was looking at it and I was like, I don't get this. So
I I don't feel like those cards, even in the casual, like some of them mattered at all.
yeah, yeah, like Vorinclex specifically was one that I was kind of like, what's going on here? But someone commented, and then they were like, "Well, Vorinclex is a one-sided winter orb in the command zone," and I'm like, I get that. You know, like I would not want to look at a green deck and just go, "Oh, if you ramp a whole bunch and get to 7, our lands stay tapped." Like, you know, like that would not be very fun kitchen table.
I mean, yeah. The only thing is, though, is Vorinclex is so expensive to put out. I mean, you're probably, pushing round 5,
Yeah,
6
I was about to say.
at least, and that's if you have some rocks, you know.
Well, green's really good at with ramping because you've got 3 wishes,
Oh, that's true.
all those 2 costs like
Yeah.
Kodama's Reach, all of those that like you'll just spend your turn going and getting a mana. You also have the 2 green enchantments that I use in Green Farm. Like turn 1, it's kind of a Soul Ring, and you also have Soul Ring too,
Yeah,
like in
that's true.
casual.
That's true. You get all the mana dorks and such.
Like if you wanted to build a deck where you just spent your first 3 to 4 turns ramping, and then you just dropped them, you could, and that would be possible in casual. But I mean, then someone has a swords, and you're like, oh dang, you know, like,
Yeah, that's my big thing with like Vorinclex and stuff. It's swords and path and murder, even murder
yeah,
exist to where it's like just spec for destroying or removing or picking up something.
yeah. I mean, in casual, you do have like Snakeskin Veil, but I mean, you're probably not keeping up interaction when you're dropping Vorinclex. You're just dropping them and going like, all right, yeah, deal with it.
Yeah, I see that.
Our resident YouTube celebrity, local Wizard Whimsy, says the bracket needs a lot of work. Between B3 to B4, there's a huge difference in perceived power. As far as the game changers go, most of them are not game changers, and some of them are only good with other cards. LED is really only good if you have Underworld Breach. Yeah.
I mean, kind of fair.
Yeah, I think a lot of it like is perceived power too. Like I feel like a lot of them, like, you know, the not Saint Augustine, the Zorius 4 cost legendary creature that they put out. I always forget the name of it, but I think that one's a like, oh, I just don't want I don't want to deal with this. You know?
Is it Grand Arbiter?
Grand Arbiter, yeah. Out of
That-
St. Augustine Augustus. I don't know where I came up with that.
I was like, I mean, if that's the mana, like to drop the mana,
Yeah.
and then add 1 to whatever spell opponents
Yeah.
play, yeah, that, yeah, Grand Arbiter.
And I will say Yuriko after we played a bit against Yuriko. Yuriko is very much a like the game is different with Yuriko out because you can't really stack Yuriko out. Yuriko is going to kill everybody by turn 6 to 7. So like
Consistently.
yeah, and what do you do? Force a will Yuriko? No. Kill Yuriko over and over. Doesn't cost anymore. Just comes out with an ability.
It,
Curse Totem Yuriko? Well, it's not a creature in the command zone or in your hand, so
it's weird with that deck specifically because it has the same feel as Slicer. Whenever
yeah.
it comes into like you're playing it and it's like, okay, we're playing a mini game now.
But and then it also gets to toss a combo and run counters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's my thing is it's a way more sneaky Slicer.
I think the only thing that works against it is that if a creature would enter and wasn't cast, exile it.
Containment.
Yeah, I think it only works. It contain like I think if we see a lot of Yurikos we're gonna see more containment priests. Like,
Yeah, I mean it's a consistent deck for what it is.
yeah. That is all for the comments. Thank you guys so much. Lots and lots of good discussion, and also like discussion in the comments. Like a lot of people left comments, and then there was discussion in those comments, which is really cool.
I feel like we were asking for comments, and they were like, "We're going to comment on all the
Yeah,
comments."
yeah. Well, now what we're asking for is a call to action to YouTube. So, if you're one of the many podcast listeners, our YouTube channel is currently sitting at 65 subscribers, and it's 2 digits, and it makes me sad. But we've been growing pretty quickly, and we're almost at 100. And then just the amount of growth on the actual podcast itself is awesome. We've got, let me just pull this up, but it's like tons of countries listening to us. Germany is really getting in there. They're always second place. Canada, United States, big section of people in Australia listening to us. If you're anybody from any of those places, we see you. New Zealand, Ukraine again, Switzerland, Spain, Finland, Norway, Belgium, Japan, Luxembourg, Mexico, Romania. Like tons and tons of people there. Someone from Thailand, like way down on the list. Like
realistically, it warms our hearts, so to speak, to see all these things lit up, and you guys are listening.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
and if you're like, I probably won't listen to you guys on YouTube. If you just go over, hit subscribe, and then just forget about it, like that would help. The first 100 subscribers is the hardest to get on YouTube, and then once you get those, YouTube kind of picks you up with the algorithm, and it's just like, okay, people like this content. Like, let's show it to more people. It helps a lot. And then we asked you guys to comment last time. You guys did it, and as a thank you, I'm asking you to do something again.
It was never enough.
Yeah. You got A? Why no A plus? What? And then just to kind of stop and finish the shuffle up. Just remember that we have our link tree. Find us everywhere. Anything that's kind of interesting, I put in the link tree. So we still have our collab with Smooth Brain. I think we might do another one with them in a couple months in the middle of the summer. Stay tuned. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of support on that video too, and as did they. So I think we might have another game with them. Crossing fingers. I also I wrote a really long 25-page, well, depending on your resolution, 25 to 12-page primer on Hashaton. So if you're like, I kind of want to play this deck, I don't really know what cards I would need. I keep seeing lists and they're all different. Like, I just want somebody to tell me like what all my options are. I want somebody to break down the combos. I saw a deck list I liked. I just printed it out, proxied it out. I want to play it with my friends. I just don't know how to pilot it. Like, it's all there. It's very verbose. It's a primer that's like our podcast. A lot of more information than you would need, but better more than none. It's on there.
I mean, for me going through it, it really told a story of where you started from and where you're like what you're seeing as far as meta goes with this deck.
Yeah, I've been putting a lot of practice in on it, and I really like it. It's a lot of fun. I also have a change log in there that I started last week. Last week we played a lot of games. Played one with Wizard Whimsy, which was really cool.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We had two different CDH pods locally, and we're in a small town, so like that was really cool. We were doing winter swaps out and playing with a bunch of people. Had a blast. That was a lot of fun.
for sure.
I forgot where I was. Honestly, I had so much fun. I forgot. Oh yeah, but I had an experience with Hashaton where I was drawing a whole bunch of cards but not doing a lot, and I was just like, okay, this this needs to get solved. So I came back and swapped 7 cards out. I'm going to keep that change log going. So if you guys are having similar experiences with your deck, similar colors, you might just be like, I'm drawing a lot of cards, but I'm not doing a lot. Or like, I'm drawing a lot of cards and I'm countering a lot of stuff, but not really winning. Like, that might be something you're interested in. And then, as always, if you're looking to buy cards and you don't mind clicking our link tree and then clicking TCG Player, or just bookmarking our TCG Player link, it helps the channel a lot. It's one of the completely free ways that you can support, along with YouTube, along with just listening. You guys already do a lot. Thank you so much. But if you want to do one more, that's a good way to do it.
It helps our card addiction.
Yeah. Man, I wanted to buy cards today so bad. So bad.
Help Crypto get to the card shop.
Oh man, I was looking at those Final Fantasy spoilers, and there was a new one today, and I was just like, I'm gonna spend so much money on this. I like have a little fund that I keep aside of cash, so I just forget it. And I like went in and I counted it today, and I was like, do I have enough set aside for like 2 boxes? It's normally my like Magic Con fund that I just keep aside all year. It might go to Final Fantasy instead, though. I don't know.
I plan on spending coin.
Yeah, Moogle coin
For sure.
I'm gonna drop some gil.
Yeah, a lot of gil.
All right. So let's get into the subject of the podcast. This first one that we went to, I'm gonna kind of breeze through it. My experience can be summed up very quickly. But I do kind of want to talk about just the journey to get there. So we ended up going to a tournament in Louisiana that one of our friends hosted, and we got our direct invite to it, which was really cool. Shout out if you're listening and that's you. But
love you, guy.
Yeah, we decided to go. We went last year and I topped 4. So I was a little nervous because I was like, it's only down from here or up once. But we went, it was right next to New Orleans. So we went to the Audubon Aquarium, had a blast, drove by the old Absinthe House. It was the weekend before Fat Tuesday. So I got to see 2 different people zoned out of their minds. One of them, I don't know if it was all alcohol. And then the other one, I saw her throw up, surrounded by her friends being like, don't. So it was quite an event. We saw a bunch of like parades. Like we tried to do a stop at a place that sounded like Candyland. I think it was like Candy Cottage or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
It sounded interesting. And then we went, and then we couldn't go because there was a parade, and then we looped back on the way back, and we saw the world's biggest gummy bear that's commercially available. You can order it for like $30. Like it's not a big thing, but we saw $500 chocolate Santa there.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think it was like 60 pounds.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We saw a turtle that is so fat, it got weighed 7 years ago, and it was 192 pounds, and then they've never been able to weigh it again. And he has a placard that just is like, this guy is fat. This is a fat turtle.
This turtle just stays here.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The tournament itself kind of had a little bit of low turnout, which, I mean, it was going to happen. It was the weekend before Fat Tuesday. Like, there were parades that were going on, which like got canceled because of the rain. But I mean, when people make plans, they kind of don't go, oh yeah, wasn't there a tournament? Yeah, that was going on. It was still for all the factors, a pretty good local turnout. I think it had like 19 people, but unfortunately it was 3 rounds, and there was also 3 people that would have got buys, which would have completely messed it up. So there was a 3-man pod, and you'll kind of, if you're fans of the channel, our round 1 luck. I got stuck in that 3-man pod. I'm just gonna breeze past mine rather than like swapping, because I was in a 3-man pod. I was up against a really good CISA player that said he's going to be at the Memorial tournament that you're going to in Dallas.
Yeah, I can't wait to go there.
He like ran the table, and we are all kind of, he was big bad on Sisay, and we had to stop him. And two people trying to stop a Sisay is harder than three. And we end up stopping him, but me and the guy that were playing, we kind of just looked at each other and went, well, one of us is gonna win, and it was the other guy. And then round two, I played with one of the OG listeners of the channel. He was seat one. He played a Mox Diamond and a land, passed. I played a land, I think. Oh, I was on Hashton for both tournaments. I played a land, passed. Got back to his round. He Thassa comboed with the Mox Diamond. His turn two, our turn one, and everybody had tapped out. I had a Mind Break Trap. There was another Sisay player there. They had a Force of Will, but Mind Break Trap wasn't turned on because it was 2 cards. And the other guy, he had a Force of Will, but no blue card. So it was just kind of like, all right, we got our mulligans. Bop, bop, bop. All right, turn two, boom, win. That specific guy was just like, I feel bad. You know, that felt like a very empty win. And I was just like, well, that's what a turbo deck does. So
I mean, it happens.
Yeah,
like,
would I love to have a, like, you know, hour-long tooth and nail fight? Absolutely. But I mean, it's CDH. Sometimes that happens, and unfortunately I was there to see it. Like, fortunately for him, but unfortunately for me. And then my final round, it was with we were all in losers bracket, and 5 point didn't get you anywhere at all.
Yeah.
So we all had 0 points. So it was like, we're kind of just playing for fun. And there's some really weird decks there, like Apatra, the black green makes snakes lady, was kind of running away with it, which was, I mean, kind of cool to see. But you know, I got 2 lands and never got my third after like 10 rounds. So that was just a failure of my deck and my mulligans. But I kept a 2 land hand, so I don't really know. Just overall, it felt like luck was kind of out to get me that day, and had fun around the tournament. Lots of fun, but tournament itself, we didn't have fun. Me personally, until after, and we played some just kitchen table games with everybody.
Yeah, I played a few games with some of the losers bracket while the winners were playing. My experience of it, I don't really have a whole lot of memories of what decks I actually played. I will say that a lot of them were off meta.
I played a loot.
Yeah, I did too. It was a loot.
Yeah.
And it won the game that I played. However, like, it again, off meta, there was a lot of things going on where I feel like our extended tournament crew kind of spoiled us
I was literally about to follow up with, like, we're spoiled. Like, yeah.
Spoiled us to what it's like further along the curve of having high powered decks come in.
Yeah.
You know, not against it. I mean, of course we play CEDH, so any deck you want to play, you play, but
yeah, my thing wasn't really like the off meta stuff. It was, not only was I having to kind of police the table, because like it felt like it was just a bunch of people that like are really good in their pod, but like nobody was passing priority in any of my games. Like the first round, we definitely like had a lot of people that were like good in there. Like the Sisay player, I recognized him from a couple events. He's driving all the way to Dallas, so like he goes a lot. But all of my other rounds, people would just soul ring, like turn 3, just drop a soul ring, tap it, drop it as something else. I'm like, whoa, like pass that around.
yeah.
And of course, when I stop and say like, hey, everybody, like pass it around, everybody's like, oh, I'm passing on it. You know? And then it's just like, okay, well, I guess you guys know I have a mental misstep, so I guess I'll use it. Like,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate when people don't have the tournament tact. And I mean, like, that's not that they're being rude or anything. Like, I get that if you don't play tournaments very often, you get excited and you're like, I'm just gonna jam it. You know? But it was tough, especially like I'm not gonna say I'm new to blue, but it was tough for me to be like, hey guys, like you need to pass priority around. And then whenever there were like key plays, be like, no, you skipped, like you need to go back. And then it'd be like, oh well, everybody'd be like, well, you have a counter, so I'm not gonna use mine.
Yeah.
So it was kind of rough, but I mean, it was fun. When I actually got to play a full 4-man pod past, my turn one, it was fun, but that was only one game. So, and then that game didn't matter because 5 points didn't go anywhere because it was a cut to top 4 too, which was tough.
I was stuck in a bunch of off meta decks, and I just didn't know what to do. Like, there's only so much, one Esper player can do with
Yeah,
weird mono greens and like
dropping a lot of creatures, so like none of my stuff, like unless it's like Rhystic Study, like none of my farm really mattered. Like I think that's also kind of new for the podcast is now we both play Esper farm, kind of. So
I I still really enjoy Tibbet. I have made some new changes to him, and I want to see if they work out. Um, but as far as the tournaments we've been going through, I would say a lot of off meta, other than some of the Dallas Kilgore area. That's
yeah,
really just some of the best players I've ever seen.
yeah. Let's go ahead and go into our next tournament. This was the scrimmage. If you're a fan of the podcast, we go to almost all of them we can. It's always a lot of fun.
Try every one of them, yeah.
We had a just side tangent. We had an awesome hotel. The hotel wasn't great. It was kind of mid, but it was right next to a amazing Mexican breakfast that we could smell from the hotel room, and it was faster to walk to there that was for me to go to the car. Like put shoes on, 50 steps in the door, sit down.
It had its whole. It had a whole like walkway.
Yeah, like from the hotel to there was a sidewalk, like custom sidewalk for it.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was so good. But let's go in to the scrimmage. So again, if you're a fan of the podcast or you've been listening, we suck at round ones. I remember even on the last one, we got the bye together and we had to play together. Even even with a bye. And then second round, didn't see you. Third round, we got matched at the table again. So this was like what, 28 people, 26 people.
Yeah.
It was a pretty big one. We did 4 rounds. Of course, matched up round 1. I don't know if it's like something in the system that's just like these guys have the same amount of games played because we have completely different win rates, completely different top 14 or top 16s, top 4s, all that. But yeah, we got matched up. You were on seat 1 with Tivit. There was a guy playing Najila who seemed pretty new. I'd seen him there before, but another one of those kind of like, hey, you gotta pass priority. Which I mean, we're all new. We all start somewhere. But I mean, when I'm playing blue, I don't want to just call out like, "Oh, can you go back? I'd like to counter that, please." And then Dahada, and then me on 4th seat. My experience can be summed up pretty quickly. I had LED and a land turn 1, and I had Nezahal and I think Razaketh in my hand that I was like, oh, turn 2, I'm gonna drop this. Like, I'm gonna surprise the table with a big old bad. Ghost was on Tivit. Turn 2.
God hand. No, I had God hand from the start.
Well, turn 2, you top deck Draneth.
Oh yeah.
And then slammed it down because he knew it was going to happen. And it was pretty much from my view, and I'll pass it over to you, but it was everybody trying to remove Draneth but me. And them going, no, we need this gone. And I'd be like, oh yeah, guys, we really need that gone. They'd be like, "You got anything?" I was like, "I got nothing. I actually don't care if it goes. Like, you do you, man." And I'm looking at like an Elish Norn in my hand where I'm like, "Oh, Najila's not doing anything this game. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat everybody down." And like everybody's just like going for the Stranith, and I'm spending no resources at all. And then Ghost is just like, "No, no, 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 no! Like, guys, stop it! Like, you remove it, he's gonna win." And then no one was listening to you, and you had to burn like 3 or 4 counters to keep it up on the field.
It uh, over 2 turns.
Yeah.
Over two different turns easily. I was pretty much my stance in this match here, or this round, was, guys, you're gonna unlock Dranith to pass to a person.
That's going to drop the biggest thing in their hand
I
possible
mean,
for free. Yeah.
come on, like, what bad is it right now?
And I also only had like 2 lands on the field. So everybody was just like, "Oh, well, I mean, he's land screwed. Like, we're not worried about him." And it's like, yeah, I mean, I didn't get the lands that I needed, but I mean, 2 lands and an LED, I'm going to drop something giant. Yeah.
My turn 1, I pretty much forced a Rhystic Study. Like,
Yeah.
Rhystic Study turn 1. Somebody, I want to say they touched it, took it out for like, no, it was some weird exile.
Yeah,
card.
I think it got countered or like destroyed.
No, it pulled it away and then came back after so many turns.
Oh yeah,
I
it was
don't
the
know what it
new
was.
energy that happened like late game though. Like you had it for a long time.
I had it for like 2 turns and then
I
you
mean,
did it.
that's a long time when you.
I didn't get like, y'all were playing so responsible though.
Yeah.
Like I didn't get much out of my Rhystic.
My turn 1 was drop LED, pay for or drop land, drop LED, pay for Ristic, and then I was just like, I got it next turn. I don't even have to pay for Ristic. I'm gonna drop an Elish Norn and not have to pay for Ristic.
And then pull Dranith and drop it. But initially what ended up happening is, even though I was staxing the board down, Dahada does Dahada things.
Yeah.
And I knew that Dahada needed Dranith gone so that it could start its engine.
Yeah, it's flicker loop. Yeah.
And once Dranith was gone, it just won. Like I thought I was safe with an op agent, but the op agent didn't do enough.
Yeah, I mean,
It just
Dahada
didn't do it.
Dahada's weird because like once Dahada comes out, Dahada just casts a bunch from the graveyard. So it's like Drana stops it 2 ways, but it only needs to remove 1 way. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I'm misremembering here. I remember an op agent, but I think that Dahada dropped the op agent and then scheming symmetry,
Yeah, yeah.
Because-
And like chose you and me.
and then pulled Thassa combo out of us.
Yeah, I think that's how it went too.
And
We saw a bunch of Dahadas, like surprisingly.
at least 3.
Yeah.
I felt really good. Spoiler alert. Like most of the people I lost to were in the top.
Yeah. So I won. Well, I'm not gonna spoil it, but I was in top 10 because I had a I was in top 10 up until the last round, not because I won so many games, because I had a 54% opponent win rate, which like I don't even know how the math on that works out. Like I played somebody that had 15 points. They had a 75% win rate.
Shout out to him.
Yeah.
We've played multiple games with him. He is a beast.
Almost every single person that got to top 4 I had played at some point in the tournament. Like, and I mean, it was a new deck, and Hashaton was like holding its own, which I was really happy with. So it needs some refining, and I'm going to need that practice to refine it. Because I mean, the only thing I'm really looking at right now is Comedian played it once, and he hasn't really been keeping that deck list up to date because he moved on, I believe. I haven't seen him enter it again, but it's more of a like me being like, man, I feel like I should take Smothering Tithe out. Let me see if Comedian had it in his list. Oh yeah, he took it out too for Necropotence. Yeah, I feel like that's where I should go. Which has been nice. Usually I'm looking at like Atali or like other things, but there's still not a lot of people playing Hashaton. I was the only one at both tournaments, which kind of surprised me. I've seen him a lot on like YouTube channels. I think a lot of people are building it. Maybe nobody had the confidence to enter it yet, but I was like, I've been playing red green, like like give me counters and
Yeah,
I'm good. Yeah.
open up the floodgates.
But pretty much if I'm at a pod with Ghost, I know that it's either going to be a draw situation where we both stop each other so much because we know what's going on, or we're gonna like stop each other and then someone else is gonna slip in. And not saying that the Dahada player like didn't play it skillfully, like they had a really awesome last turn.
Yeah, he was in top 4 with his plays. Like I played him twice in this tournament.
Yeah, I heard that play to win, whenever they play together at CDH tournaments, they literally just see both of their names on a pod and then look at the entire pod and go, "You guys want to tie because we play with each other all the time." And they're like, sometimes people just agree to it based on not
Yeah,
that we're that status, but we have the same play mat, so it's pretty easy for us to go, yeah, we play each other all the time. Like, do you guys want to tie? I don't think anybody would agree to it.
like I know most of your combos. The issue though is however you can read what I'm doing, it is like spooky.
Yeah.
I'll be like, how do you know I have these cards in hand? Like I'm sitting across from
Yeah,
you.
so it's not like you're flashing them. But
But
we just play so much that I'm just like, you're going into a certain
move,
path,
yeah.
and it's like, oh, he got off at exit Thassa, like this is coming. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
like
I guess so. Maybe play patterns.
I mean, the problem with that one though was like, you knew Dranath needed to stick,
Oh,
and
for
like
sure.
Najila didn't really need to remove Dranath, and neither did Dahada at the end of the day. They needed Rhystic Study gone more, and they did remove it, but everybody was trying to remove something for me, and you knew they were removing it for me, and they didn't believe you.
Yeah, it's scary looking over and seeing that so to speak gun pointed at you, and it's like, come on, guys.
I was gonna drop the -2 -2 Elshnorn and just take Najila completely out of the game, and then like just beat down, or I was gonna drop a Nezahal like right away and be like, well, he got a Rhystic, I got an Nezahal, like we're both ahead. This is a 1v1 now. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Round 2. I will just say that my round 2, I'll go first because it's going to be real quick. This one also had the same problem where buys didn't really make a lot of sense. So they had 2 3-man pods, I think.
I believe so. 2 threes every game or every round.
And I will say I prefer that over buys because buys kind of messes everything up. I'm glad that's an option that tournament holders are doing. I believe this one they also were able to go up to 4 rounds, even though I think it's like 36 cutoff for 4 rounds, which 4 rounds is infinitely better than 3. Like if I travel to go to a 3-round tournament, I'm a little upset. I don't think other people share that sentiment because they're like, well, I'm just happy to get 3 games, and I am happy to get 3 games, but the competition of 4 rounds is so much better than just 3 rounds, because 3 rounds kind of becomes like, oh, well, I lost the first 2, which is like, statistically possible and like likely, and then the 3rd round you're like, if I win, it doesn't even matter. Like I'm not going to top 4. Yeah. But so we went and played the Friday night before just to kind of get some games in for fun. And unfortunately, one of the people that we played, he was at the table and he saw me do a whole bunch of crazy stuff. So he was just like, oh.
Yeah, we gotta stop this guy.
And the third person that was at the table was somebody that topped 4. They played Rograth Thrasios, and long story short, they put out a really early fish, and the person was on Disa, the Restless, which is a Lurgoyf deck, and the entire goal of that deck is Hermit Druid my library, kill everybody with ETB Lurgoyfs. Tarmogoyf is a Lurgoyf. Yeah. Um, so like they knew I knew what they were doing. They knew what I was doing, and they were like, I just gotta gun it, and fed like, oh my god, 5 cards to the Thrasios Rograk player who had like all of their free spells in line and all that. So it got to my turn. I saw that they were tapped out, and I was like, if I don't do something now, this is over. Like I could play. There's no way I'm going to play the long game here with this kind of two turbo decks. One of them has been fed a bunch. So I Demont Consultation. I had an LED, put it down, it resolved. I played a Demont Consultation for get Jingataxis, and unfortunately, by the time I found him, I had 12 cards left in my deck, and all of my combos gone. So I was just like, well, shoot. Like, I play Jingataxis, I drop him, he draws me 7 cards, I have 5 left. I get one more turn,
Think
and
you're dead.
then I'm dead. I was like, it would make that guy drop all of his cards, but like Jingataxis isn't a May. Like it is a, if I don't win next turn, I'm dead. And one combo piece or the whole combo was in there, and like it was unfortunate because with demonic, like I have to name something, but literally all of my big bads were at the bottom of the deck, so it was just bad luck. Like there was no other way for me to get out of that situation. I thought about it a couple times. I was like, did I just gun it? And I was like, nah. Like he won that next turn. Basically, he loaded the field with so many things that it was just over. But you know, I coin flipped. The coin didn't land on the right side, and I lost that round. But the person I lost got top 4. Pretty cool.
Yeah. My round 2 was one of the dreaded things that happens with Tibet if you have 3 pods. Um, I ended up getting into a 3 pod with 2 other decks. They immediately wrote me off.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, "Well, he
just has Thassa combo.
yeah, he's just a Thassa now," which surprisingly was very wrong.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't want to be mean, but I don't want to be lackluster as far as what decks I was playing. I don't remember because it was almost solitaire at the time.
Yeah.
So I played Tibet kind of early, like rushed him as much as I could, and then I swung once before I tried to do any shenanigans, and I used my mana but kept all of the clues, and then just time sieved enough to kill them with just smacking them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they were to a point, and the last turn I took, I had to sack time sieve.
Yeah, so it was like wire's edge. Yeah.
And they were just like, we just lost to a Tivit and a 3 pod. I was like, I don't know how it happened, man. But that's pretty much where we were.
All right, let's get into round 3. So there was a lunch break around round 2. It was kind of stuffy in there, and there was an art walk going on downtown around the shop, which was really cool. And we had heard that there was like smoothies, so I was just like, I'm getting sweaty. Like, let's go get a smoothie. And we got a smoothie. It was like an hour. It was a 30-minute break, but we had both wrapped up pretty early on our round 2.
We probably got about 50 minutes or so, if not longer.
Super refreshing. Went back in, started my round 3. Unfortunately, with 3-man pods, you lose at a 3-man pod. You're stuck in a 3-man pod most of the day. That's how the system works, unfortunately.
No.
There's ways to get out, but once you get down there and you lose, you're somewhat stuck there. I was stuck in another 3-man pod, round 3. I was against a Glarb, which I was honestly healthily afraid of, and Timna Thrasios, which is a deck I play, and I know what it can do. And I was just like, well, I'm Esper colors. I'm gonna farm Green Farm is what I call it, TNT. That's gonna farm. Glarb has like a big upper hand here. Um, we played the guy that was running Green Farm had a really interesting list. He was kind of like turbo Hermit Druid. Saw a lot of Hermit Druid at this tournament. And he had milled his entire library. Had Thos in there. And he had Dread Return, which I thought you could do at instant speed. It's sorcery. And he had the 3 creatures to sacrifice. So I was just like, oh, like he's acting like he's down and out. He's not. Like he's just gonna Thassa and win before his draw step. So I am like, okay, I for sure have to act now. And the entire tournament, and I'm not going to do this anymore going forward, I had kept my commander on the battlefield, but I'd put the D40 on top of it to signify if it was there or not. And I was kind of nervous because I knew I was going for it, and I knew it was going to be convoluted. And I thought that Hashaton was already out because he was on my mat.
Oh no.
So unfortunately, I cast Animate Dead with a white and a black. And the moment the card left my hand, it's moving down, hasn't even touched the mat. I just go, this was a mistake. Like, am I cool to take this back? Knowing full well, like, I could. And then, of course they were like, they saw it was Animate Dead. They're just like, you kind of cast it. And I was just like, I get it. We're at a tournament. Like, I was mostly asking just to be courteous, but I'll call it Judge. And I was like, hey, Judge. And I came over and I was like, I played Animate Dead. It hadn't even really left my hand onto the mat. I immediately said it was a mistake because I looked and I realized that my commander's out. Like, no new knowledge has been gained. Didn't pass priority. Nobody said anything as far as like, I have a counter in my hand. Like, can I take this back? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. And I was just like, okay, cool. And we're all good with that. And they were like, yeah. And like, I could tell that they were like, oh man, he almost messed up a win, but like, I get it. I get being like, no. But I was like, I know I can, like, sorry guys. So cast Hashaton, cast Animate Dead. I had a discard effect on the field. Played Animate Dead, sold my opponent's Thassa, brought it out onto the battlefield, ETB on the stack, instant speed, discarded a card, and got the Hashaton trigger on Razaketh. Razaketh came out, sacked my discard outlet, went and got Demont Consultation, had another creature out too. I can't remember what it was. But I went and got Demont Consultation and I played it, and I was like, just so you guys are aware, this is probably a win because I played Demont Consultation. I can sack this other creature for Fierce Guardianship. If I have to, I can sack Hashaton at instant speed on the stack to go get packed. So this is Thassa combo with your Thassa backed up by 2 different counters with this Hashaton trigger. Like, good. And they were like, yeah, I do have a counter. And I was like, we can play it out. I'm just letting you guys know what the table looks like right now. We can fight over it, and if you can, you should, because I'm winning here clearly. But on the stack with everything going on, I can go grab things and stop you guys. I can go get a silence, and then we can fight over the silence, and then we can go fight over the pact or the fierce. Yeah. But it was a really clean win. The guy across from me was just like, you won with my Thassa's Oracle. Like, that is so cool. And you won on the stack with a creature and a bunch of tutors. I was like, oh yeah, like if I don't win another round this tournament, like I got a flashy Hashaton win in, so I was pretty happy.
Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff you can do, I have to really like think about the timing and stuff. And I'm like, I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, like the razzle dazzle lines with Astro Dragon and Razaketh, and it's a lot of fun. And I go into them on my primer if you guys want to check them out on the link tree. How was your round 3?
So my round 3, it was, I want to say 3 different white players, like as far as
Caucasians, yes, go on.
no, but like in general, lots of stacks. I believe one of them was Mardu, the other one was like TNT, and then maybe like I don't know. I think it was 2 TNTs, but
None of them could dance very well. Their potato salad was really bland. Yeah,
yeah,
I got you. I got you.
it was, and that's kind of how it felt, honestly. Like, I mean, I'm Esper, so that's kind of what I do, but Mardu usually goes fast. That's usually the play. And we ended up just kind of, standing off, looking at each other with pistols drawn.
Mm-hmm.
And we clearly seen one guy was closer to winning than we were. And the one guy before me was like, well, I can counter this spell, which is win on the stack for him, which it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to make sure that Tivit doesn't come at me. We need to beat him down.
Mm-hmm.
Player 2. So player 3 was talking about player 2, and ended up player 3 won on the turn that he was politicking.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I mean, it sounded real good to me because I didn't have a counter, so it didn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
But he was like, Thassa's? Question?
Yeah.
Like, and me and the other guy that was Mardu were looking at each other and it's like, what? Ain't nothing.
Yeah.
And we know for
Yeah.
sure that the guy you countered doesn't have another one. Otherwise, he'd have countered it.
Yeah.
So, which just threw me into my next spot.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
With that, for round 4, with that 3-player win and my opponent win rate, I was catapulted from last table to table 2. 2 of the people that ended up going to top 10 were in this pod. One person that ended up with 15 points was in this pod. It was stacked. It was a lot. So it was me in seat 1, Yuriko in seat 2, Timna, Dargo, the giant pirate that you just sack over and over again. I think it's Dargo.
It's Dargo.
And then Sisei in seat 4. So it was like Yuriko gonna win the game eventually. Turbo gonna win the game if I don't have enough counters. Sisei gonna win the game if I don't have anything to return stuff to hand. So I had to keep a really conservative hand. It was a Into the Flood Maw, a Mental Misstep, and a Ghostly Pilfer, along with like 2 lands and other stuff. And Ghostly Pilfer specifically, I was really happy to have because I was like, I know that Dargo loops are a thing. I know that Underworld Breach is a thing. If the Turbo player tries to go off, I have Ghostly Pilfer and I'll draw every single time he makes an action and I'll stop him. So I feel pretty confident here. Yuriko, probably the worst place Yuriko can be is in the hand, which, I mean, you still get ninjutsu, but... And then also with Sisei, all of those like big mana dorks that tap for a bunch, I could keep in check with a return to hand. So we kind of get into it. Everybody's doing their thing. Yuriko is like killing us. We get to the Turbo player, Timna, Dargo. They have 25 life, and they play a Adnaz. And I don't really have anything for it outside of a demonic consultation, and I'm like, I'm not burning a demonic consultation on 25 life, in a Adnaz deck. Spoiler alert, I definitely should have. The other guy on Sisei, he thought the same thing. He had a counter in hand, and he was just like, I don't really want to burn this on a 25 life Adnaz. This dude knows his deck very well, gets a ton of stuff, like really good luck. Goes all the way down to like 3, I think. And is just like, okay, I was lucky. I'm going to stop. Like I had to push it this far. I think I got everything I need. Portable holes, my ghostly pilfer, and just goes off. Gets Jessica's will, all this stuff. Deals with everything on the board that he needs, and then has Dargo and Goblin Bombardment, I want to say. And on the cast of Goblin Bombardment, I see that they had gotten a red elemental blast, but I was like, I gotta do something. I don't have my commander out, so I can't exile anything. Not that it would even matter. Like, I'm trying to think in my deck like what I have to name, because with Tainted Pact, at least I can kind of look and like assess. And Demonic Consultation is, you need to know your entire deck list, and this is, I edited it maybe 2 days before, so I was not too sure what I had, and I was just like, I think I just go get Mindbreak Trap. I don't think it does anything here. I know that there's a red elemental blast, but maybe somebody has something and they can back it up. Like it's better for me to do this than to just lose. Do it, play it. Doesn't really stop them. They win the game and they have 15 points. And then both the Yuriko and the Tim Dargo player get in top 10. Tim Dargo goes top 4 and they prize split. But I think he did win the prize split game. So my opponent win rate was like ridiculous for some reason. I was the top player with 5 points. So I was in the top, even with one win, I was in the top 50% of the tournament. Like if it was top 16, I would have gone and played top 16. So I was pretty happy with my performance. The win was really clean. Demonic Consultation is definitely something I need to know my list a little bit better. And I also like, there were times where I would look at the cards in my hand and I'm just like, I don't know where this goes. Like, I know that Razaketh, once I drop it, will kind of end in a win, but I couldn't really tell you what it is. Or I'd look at Astral Dragon and be like, I know Astral Dragon is good here. So really my takeaway from the tournament was really get down my win lines for Hashaton, really understand like when I have tutors, this is what I go for. When I can drop a creature, this is what I need to go get. If I demonic consultation a fourth of my deck away to go get something, where do I go from there with the cards that are missing? I didn't really have that down for the tournament, and I'm not gonna say it lost me some games. Like I did well even not having that type of confidence, and I kind of looked at this as like very heavy good practice, and it was. And I was pretty happy with the performance. And now that I've written that like really long primer, I feel a lot more confident in the deck, and I've made a lot of. I think I've changed like 10 cards since then after practice. So, how was your round 4?
My round 4 was it was pretty much like all the dominoes fell exactly what needed to happen. So it was me, seat 4, seat 1 was Kennen, seat 2 was Yuriko, seat 3 was the Termagoyf.
Yeah, the one that we'd played Friday Night Magic with.
Yeah, guy. And then I was seat 4. Kennen had God Hand and had put so much stuff out that all resources went to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of would play a piece and then just be like, we really need to stop that basalt monolith.
Yeah,
like,
which you do. That's not incorrect. Like,
well, I had Draneth out too. So like,
yeah,
he was like, yeah, it's here, but he has Draneth. I was like, thank God.
yeah.
Thank God.
But you don't drop that if you can't deal with Dran. Like,
well, he had put everything out and he wasn't able, he had infinite mana, but he didn't have an outlet yet.
Yeah.
But I leaned into that. Like, I leaned into it hard. I was like, guys, look, realistically, I was telling the truth. I don't really lie when I'm playing normally.
Yeah.
However, I was like, this is a major problem. Like, he is a card away from winning right now.
Yeah, misleading is fine.
Well, I mean, even, I understand lying to a degree too.
Yeah.
I don't condone it, but I get where.
They just side tangent. Somebody apparently lied in one of the matches, and the judges there were like, "This isn't a professional setting. This isn't a Magic Grand Prix. We're gonna roll that back because basically, like from what I understood, and I didn't see it myself, but people were talking about it where a guy said, 'Hey, if you don't do this, I won't swing at you,' because he was gonna die." And then the guy didn't do it, and then the guy just goes, "All right, I'm gonna move to combat. All right, I'm swinging at you."
Oh, that's funny.
And the guy like called a judge about it, which I thought was bold. Like I get it, but like called a judge, and then the judge was like, per the rules, you can lie, but not at my event," and rolled it back.
I mean, play Magic right.
Yeah.
Don't be an ass, so to speak. But
Yeah, I mean, don't do anything that sullies your reputation to win a game, because then it's not worth it. But also, like when people do it, I'm just like, I would never call a judge on it. You know, like I know in the rules that there's nothing against you can't lie about public information. Like you can't go hide 2 lands under a mat and say you only have 3 cards and then magically have 5. You can't do that. But I mean, you can say like you can make deals that you have no commitment to actually fulfill in professional environments, which I mean, Commander isn't professional, but I just thought it was interesting.
it was a weird ruling.
Yeah.
Again, play right. I guess. I guess that's play more wholesome.
Do on to others as you would have them do on to you. The golden magic rule.
But anyway, back to this Kennen. He went so far into what he was doing that he really didn't even look at the other board states. Like, he was so into what he was doing.
Yeah.
And then he looked up and I was like, Whir of Invention?
Yeah.
Time Sieve? And the Yuriko player was somewhat new, and the Termagoyf player was somewhat new.
Yeah.
And this has been the only time I've had this issue, but in the middle of me going infinite turns, which, you know, it's not necessarily...
You had to play it out.
I had to play it out. The Yuriko player just got up and left.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm done. I want to go play God of War or something.
Yeah.
And I had to call the judge and be like, hey, you know, scooping is sorcery speed and it's my turn.
Yeah.
You know, and luckily the judge was like, well, I'll vote for him. This person's still here.
Yeah.
You know, I'll vote for the, you know, because I mean, it's clear.
The opponents can decide what my vote is. Yeah.
Pretty much. And initially, I time sieve killed them all.
Yeah.
But that was my get into top 10
Yeah.
play.
And 6 months ago, because I remember specifically at that location, 6 months ago, the rule was you can scoop at instant speed, but the moment you scoop at instant speed, you're out of the tournament. And if you want to get back to the tournament, you have to discuss it with a judge or the tournament organizer. Like, that was the rule, which I was just like, don't let people scoop at instant speed. That's stupid. Like,
yeah, it messes stuff up.
It messes stuff up. Like, you know, I could, for an example, I could see that you're winning with Tivit, and then you swing at me, and then I'm like, on attack, declare I scoop. And then you wouldn't get the trigger, and like,
have fun.
Yeah, have fun. And like, last round, I'm not going to talk to the tournament organizer to get back in. I'm done. That's my last round. But with that score, you got into top 10. So top 8. Yeah, top 10, but it was 2 pods.
Yeah, it was 2 pods that were trying to get
2, went right to the finals.
3 and 4 slot is what we were fighting for.
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting because I watched this game, and according to your last pod, all you did was swap the Tormagroff player out with Dahada and swapped in a new Yuriko, and it was the same pod.
Yeah, my seating was a little different,
Yeah.
but pretty much that's pretty much exactly correct.
Yeah.
The Dahada player I had played previously, and he was up and coming in this tournament the whole time. Like
Yeah.
I knew he was a good player.
Yeah. We had actually talked because the Yuriko player was in my last round 4, and we were kind of talking, and he was just like, I actually kind of hope that I don't get in a round or top 10 because like I want to do the art walk. like you could tell that he was just like he wasn't messing the game up, and he was playing correctly, but the entire time like his attitude was just like I'm just here, like I don't really care to win, I'm having fun, I'm playing. But it was kind of confusing for me because like he was showing the cards that he had with Yuriko triggers, and he was putting them to the side for everybody to see rather than putting them in his hand. And he's like, yeah, I like people to know what I got with my trigger, but he wasn't doing that the round before me. So I was just like, what's going on? Like, what is he doing? Like, I think he was like playing his best, but like did not want to win. So was doing like what he could to still play his best, but also like not win the round.
Um, the Yuriko player to me was a little bit strange as far as his mindset in the game.
He had a lot of side banner too. Like, yeah.
I mean, at one point I had op agent and looked through his deck, and it was a little scary. Like he had so many signed cards. Like there was a point where I was like, man, I don't really feel like, I've touched some pretty expensive decks,
Yeah, like one with multiple serialized cards.
and multiple serials and stuff like that. But this was one of those too where it was like this guy's really, for the love of the game.
Yeah, I mean he was older than us, which is usually like pretty rare, and had told me that he had gotten into Magic really early, got all of the expensive cards, sold them, bought a truck with just his cards, and then also got a down payment on the house. And like because of that, he was like, I'll never stop playing Magic. Like I don't really dabble in it too much, but like I do have a couple of commander decks, and I do like to come up to these tournaments every once in a while.
But um, back to the game, he was a contender in this play here. So initially it was Dahada, Kennen, Tivit, and Yuriko,
Mm-hmm.
and I ended up seeing my window to try to win. Like Dahada was so close to winning,
Yeah.
and there wasn't really anybody that was showing a way to stop it.
Well, they had also Praetor's Grasp your library too when you went for it.
Uh, yeah, and that was my fault too because I realized when the Praetor's Grasp hit, like I had thought initially that they were taking my Thassa or taking my
Time sieve.
time sieve, which thinking back on it in a tournament setting, I probably should have realized that it was more of a silence effect that was
Yeah.
going to be happening instead of, not necessarily a spike play, but a hindering play that was unneeded, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also like I always feel like Dahada runs Tainted Pact anyway, so like might as well just go get somebody's Thassa so that you can win easily and then also deny somebody else like one of their main win cons.
Yeah. Um, Back to my last turn before the game ended. I pretty much seen my window of opportunity and tried. Initially, I was going to try to pull time sieve and go time sieve win, and I cast a dark ritual, and the Kennen player counters my dark ritual with a mental misstep, which I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
like
Fair.
you would have no idea what was about to happen with this turn,
Yeah.
because I wasn't showing a whole lot on board, but I pivot and go for a Thassa win same turn.
And you had top decked the Thassa, right?
Yeah, I did end up drawing Thassa, and I had to do a convoluted op agent play to get a consultation as soon as it happened, and I was trying to get it out there. However, I get pacted.
Yeah.
I go to Thassa, it gets pacted. And I don't even think consultation gets packed. I think it was Thassa's itself got pacted.
Yeah, Thassa's itself.
There was no way for me to know that the Kinnan player was going to pact of negation a Thassa play with 4 mana showing on his field.
Yeah.
I get big sad here and then pass to the Yuriko player, and we have some discussion about 2 bowmasters.
Oh yeah.
And I cast a bowmaster and kill his. Realistically, he does what the rest of his turn and passes to Kinnan.
Well, so he tried to play Heuristic Study.
Oh yeah.
And the Dahada player, who's, obviously trying to turbo off, looks at him and goes, I don't think you want to cast that with Bowmaster on the field. And then the guy, politic win, the guy just goes, yeah, I don't, and then takes it back. And there was not really any discussion. He just immediately was just like, yeah, no, I don't want my board cleared. Like, didn't try to politic with you at all. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, I know Dahada doesn't want a Heuristic Study on the board because Dahada, we'll play a silence and close the turn off, but you still don't want somebody drawing a whole bunch, even with a silence. Like, things can happen.
Oh, Wara or anything.
And I'm just kind of, it'd been a long day, so I think everybody was just kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. And then he just did something that was inconsequential. I think he laid a ninja that had already been ninjutsu'd out to kind of build his board a little bit, and then passed. And I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm just like, this hurts. And then Kinnan goes, and then
yeah, Kinnan at the packed trigger, trick mines, and
so clears the stack of the lose trigger.
Clears the stack, goes ahead and continues his turn, and really doesn't do much, and just passes to Dahada. And Dahada's like, and with my flipped over card, Grand Abolisher, and then clearly wins.
Yeah.
But I think if I had to go back through it, I think the tournament, or I think that round was played as best I could with what I was doing.
Yeah.
I truly think that without the pact, I would have won there. And I mean, clearly there was a pact, but I wasn't thinking Force of Will because it was used before. It could have been maybe Force of Negation was his only other play.
But he had also already used a free counter on your Dark Ritual. So, and it was your window. It was pretty clear you weren't going to get another turn. Opposed to losing, I get why Kinnan would just literally drop everything and then pretty much do nothing on their turn. I thought they might have a Spirit Guide and then they're going to exile it for a green and then tap out and pass. But it was one of those situations where it's just I get you stop the person that's winning, but maybe the moment that the person casts the Thassa, you're like, I'd like to stop the game here and show you a pact. Are you sure you want to do that? I don't know what the answer there was. I think the answer there was politics from other people. I think you did. I mean, you saw your window. You had multiple ways to go there. You tried, and then you got stopped with several counters. So and then it was a pact with 4 mana out. What are you gonna do? Yeah.
I mean, that was my big thing with that whole last round was I had accounted for most counters other than Yuriko counters,
Yeah.
right? And Yuriko didn't counter anything,
Yeah.
like surprisingly.
That Yuriko player, I'm not gonna say that I don't think that they had counters, but they had filled their deck with as many big things as possible. So I do believe they had like a force of will, but I don't think that they had any interest in running those like one drop counters. Like it was very much a I'm Yuriko. If we get to round 5 or 6, I'm gonna kill everybody,
And
and that was scary. Like
and that engine was already going.
yeah,
You know, we were probably each person maybe 20 life.
yeah,
I mean, we were getting hit.
yeah,
And Yuriko was complaining about not having the bowmaster, but I mean it was clearly going to be Yuriko's win if I would have left the bowmaster out, because at some point he would have just pinged mine out and then I'd have been like,
Well, also too, he played Heuristic Study. You had a bowmaster. Every time Dahada played something, they'd have to pay for the one, and if they didn't, the Grand Abolisher would get bowmaster ping. So it would have cleared the silence effect off the stack, like off the field, and then you guys would have had a chance. Not saying that like anybody really would have had counters after what had happened, but it's one of those things where like if he would have not listened to the person that clearly didn't want Ristic Study, and like I mean I get it, you've been playing a full day and like you're looking at a bowmaster and you cast a Ristic Study, you see what's in front of you, you're not like looking catty corner and going like, well, this is coming from Dahada though, like
I,
Dahada that just Praetor's Grasp something, like it's a mistake that's easy to make. It was just unfortunate. Yeah.
it I probably, if anything, would have been better play on my part. I probably should have had more politics with the table on what was going on. But again, I seen my window and I wanted to try. Um,
And also, I mean, if somebody casts something and then immediately is just like, nah, I don't want to do that. Like it's hard to interject there and go like, well, I think you do because I have a bowmaster. Like,
yeah, yeah. But that game pretty much kicked me out of the top four. But I was pretty close.
yeah. I mean, yeah, very, very close. I think probably the closest you've been at the skirmish period.
I don't think I've been in top four.
Well, I mean, like how the game went. Like you actually did do
Oh yeah, yeah.
a very well thought out win. You were able to put out a well thought out win attempt, but it still got stopped. Like
Yeah. All in all, like I think that tournament everybody was pulling their A game, except for, maybe some off metas, and maybe they were too. I just didn't see it.
yeah, I mean, even the people that showed up that normally aren't really like the regulars, like there were people I'd never seen before that they clearly brought their A game, and then there were people that I thought they were just kind of there the night before playing Friday Night Magic, and it seemed like they were like, yeah, I guess I'll show up. That sounds fun. Like they were still bringing decks that were just like, oh, like this deck if it mills its library with Hermit Druid, it just wins. Like there's no maybe, it's just all abilities that are on the stack, and we all die. They were really cool to see when we played them at Friday Night Magic. Like it went off a couple times. There wasn't a lot that we could do about it. I feel like even the people that were kind of like not really going to top 10, which I mean, I would say I probably fell in there with Hashaton just because I was so new. I feel like everybody was still like a contender where it's like, yeah, this deck probably isn't going to top 10, but like if I underestimate them, they are. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then the win lines were obscure. Like they weren't
Yeah.
they weren't normal things you would be looking for, other than the occasional thosses. But
Yeah, I mean the Rograk Thrasios beat us with Banishing Knack, and then the Valley Flood Color just like
Yeah, it
yeah,
was
it
silly.
was crazy. And then a infinite oh dang dinosaurs. I always forget the actual name of that card.
Finale.
Yeah, finale of devastation. Like it was cool to see. Like
Yeah. All in all, I had a really good time at this tournament. I feel like I played the best I could. Um, I mean, you don't win them all.
yeah.
You
I
know.
mean, March is stacked, you know, too. We'll have another really good tournament breakdown then, and then we've got Tuck here right around the corner. I'm pretty sure that the next podcast after this is going to be our Tuck here breakdown. There should be enough spoiled at that point for us to do it. It's been a pretty loaded first half of the year with Magic. Like,
Magic came out the gate
yeah,
swinging.
pre-releases like Final Fantasy, SpongeBob, Spider-Man, like all kinds of crazy stuff. Like we're gonna have a lot to talk about, which is good. And then you know, gonna be playing a lot of games. If you guys made it this far, we do have a Discord. We're gonna start getting in there when we have enough people and doing some spell table games. If you guys want to bring your decks and play against us, or if you normally do play against us and you just want to spell table, that's also cool. Like we like to practice.
Oh yeah, we love playing, and it would be really cool to kind of, I guess, meet and greet a little bit. I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that they're in our area, and we get to play with them. You know, hopefully do some collabs, and like our area is anything within 5 hours of us. Realistically, like you know, we go all around. Like if it's not too far, I mean, I have a really fuel efficient car. You know, we're really good at getting hotels that are cheap and just kind of slumming it, and you know, getting in there, getting out.
Making a weekend out of it, type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, going and going to the Audubon and you know all that. Like it was fun. Yeah, I mean, it'd be really fun. You know, especially like you know if you're listening in you know Germany or Lithuania or all those other countries that are like far away, like would be super cool to get some game nights in. So if that sounds cool, we're not super active right now just because there's probably about 5 to 10 people in there. Whenever I see stuff like the SpongeBob Secret Layers, I immediately throw it in. So it's not a huge community yet, but with you going in, it could be. So if that sounds fun to you, just go ahead and drop in. If you just drop in and you look and you're just like, oh, this is cool, and then you never say anything again. That's what I do with 90% of my Discord servers, so I get it.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, if that sounds interesting to you guys and you looking forward to some game nights, let us know.
Well, I think that's pretty much all we had for this podcast as far as the tournaments go. I think that over the next month or so, we'll have a lot more experience in how, I guess, the so to speak curve of where it's going as far as commanders and such
Yeah,
in the CEDH scene. Um, but
we're
yeah,
ending at a crisp 24 minutes, 6 minutes less than we normally do.
wow.
Yeah.
But we do appreciate you guys for listening, and like, subscribe, say things.
Yep. And then if you could, please just go over to the YouTube, hit subscribe, and if you never come back and you just stay on the podcast, perfect. If you go and subscribe and you never come back to the podcast too, that'd make me sad. Don't do that. But
Yeah, y'all love us. Y'all come back.
and then TCG player, and look forward to those Talk Here reviews coming up.
See you guys.
Bye.